Hello once again, witchy people. I didn't realise it had been so long. I've made so many videos and not uploaded a single one. Anyway, I'm here now and I just want to have a little ramble and a bit of a rant, like I always do. And it's about spirituality and faith and religion. So just lately it started off that my mum wanted an Anglican rosary, which is a very specific rosary for non-Catholic people. And I made her one. And she thought it'd be a good idea if I made a few more, which I did. And then she said, would you come to my craft evening with me? And I said, well, yes, it's somewhere I've been before. I used to go quite often. It's in a church hall. It's run by Christians. It's my mum's church. It's a Baptist church. And I've been before, no problems, nothing. So I went this time with my mum and my mum's friend, I shall call him. I can't think what else to call him. So my mum's friend and lots of people that I had known before, some new faces. And they were looking at the rosary that I'd made my mum and the rosaries that I'd made. And in the back of the room, a small comment was made. I don't know if I was supposed to hear it, but I did, quite clearly, along the lines of, witches burn in hell. I let it pass, but it made me feel very uncomfortable because I'd never got this sort of reaction from mainly these group of people. There have been other groups of people, more people there that I didn't know, but I hadn't had this reaction before. And they do know, the people that spoke and said, oh, witches go to hell, these are the people that know that this is my spirituality. Then someone asked to see one of the crosses that I'd made, one of the rosaries that I'd made, and I held it up and I touched the cross and I said, look, I don't burn, and I left it at that. I don't think my mum heard, because I'm pretty sure if she had, she would have said something. But it got me thinking, very much along the lines of, we're not that different, not really. And I thought to myself, if you took away the Bible, but still kept God, and the faith you have in God, and the spirituality that you have, are not much different. You see your God differently. And, you know, there are rules and regulations that are within the Bible that you stick to. But in general, these rules and regulations were for the health of people and to make life easier, and for the most part. And they were rules for a society to live by. But every faith, spirituality, path and religion has that book of rules, no matter what you follow. And for the most part, in general, those rules are to make life easy and to be open and honest with other people, and to keep the communication open between you and however you see that other side of your spirituality, whether as a god or a goddess or energy or anything. And then it got me thinking about, okay, I'll admit, I watch a lot of videos about flat earthers and people who are anti-evolutionary. You know, they believe God's word is absolutely true. And maybe a few hundred years ago, I think that's fine. But I do believe and I'm talking specifically about the Christian Bible. If the Christian Bible kind of, and I don't mean this offensively towards Christians or anyone else, this is just an opinion of mine, that maybe if scientifically the Bible could be updated to more of what we know today. So for instance, we know the earth is not 3,000 or 4,000 years old. We know it's billions of years old. We know that dinosaurs roamed the earth because of the evidence that they left. And these dinosaur bones are not the bones and the remains of gigantic children and monsters and ogres that were born when the angels came down from heaven with Lucifer and started having sex with earth women, with human women. So if you can put the science into the Bible and update the Bible, but still keep the basic tenets the same, the faith would still be there, but the book would be different. But the basics of the book would be the same. It's just those scientific bits of the book. If that was updated, I think people would find Christianity a lot more easily acceptable. I mean, I know that... So I'm getting caught up with all my spiders. I've been making glass spiders. In America, I know there seems to be a resurgence of Christianity. Maybe that's something to do with Trump and MAGA and all the rest of it. I don't know. Certainly in the UK, where I live, the only thing I've noticed is the only resurgence close to Christianity is Satanism. And kids these days don't know the differences in different satanic faiths and paths. And so they wear upside down crosses and pentacles and upside down pentacles, and they don't really know what they're doing. I mean, to me, if you're a Satanist that believes in the devil and you're basically an anti-Christian, then you have to believe in God. And you kind of have to accept that according to the Bible, which you technically follow because you are a Satanist and you follow Lucifer, you know you're on the losing side. So I kind of don't get that view of Satanism very much. But the other view of Satanism, where it's basically you're responsible for your own... I don't know much about Satanism in the only Satanists I've known, I haven't gone in too deep with them about their spirituality and their beliefs, is that basically you are responsible for your own actions. Everything has a consequence, and as long as you don't harm children, people will pay for their consequences in any way that you think fit if they've done something wrong. And it's about knowing your own power and relying on yourself and understanding your own power. It's not... I wish they'd find another word other than Satanism to describe it, because it's really not about Satan. It's not about the Bible. That was what I've been led to believe anyway. But yeah, so in England, there is no huge resurgence of Christianity like there seems to be from what the news I'm getting in America. But I don't think that... See, to me, if you're sat in a room with people, and we know, for instance, okay, let me put it this way, referring back to being called and being told that witches go to hell and burn in hell. Well, I'm sorry, as a Christian, you should know that's not true. You should know that the wording within your Bible also needs to be updated, because we understand a lot more about the Hebrew language now and Cyrillic texts and, you know, all the other texts that are included where we got the Bible from, the Sanskrit and everything else. We understand that it's not witches that go to hell, it's people who poison others, and more importantly, people who poison children, not witches. This is what I've always been led to believe anyway. So I find it very difficult to accept that sitting in a room with a lot of Christians who know me personally and know I'm a good person, I'm not evil, I'm not, you know, I find it offensive, not only to me, but kind of to their own religion, that they have this intolerance. When, like I said, take out the scientific part of the Bible and get down to any religion, its basic tenets. You know, don't pay off other people, treat others if you expect to be treated yourself. These sort of basic things, respect your elders, you know, and learn from them, and don't offend people. These basic tenets are in every path in life, are they not? It's a whole social construct that these are naturally accepted things. And obviously in different parts of the world, different cultures, there are certain things, like I learned a few weeks ago that is it Japan? It's incredibly rude to eat with your right hand. You should always eat with your left hand. I don't know if that's China or Japan, but it's incredibly rude. Apparently it's something to do with most people wipe their bottoms with their right hand, and when they've been to the toilet they use their right hand, so therefore you should always use your left hand to eat. Hello, Cinnamon. Yes, we've still got Cinnamon. We've still got Barkley too. Barkley's very old at the moment. He's going blind. He can't use his back legs properly. He really is an old man, but still very much part of the family and very much loved. And yes, we still have the 2 cats. Anyway, yes, Cinnamon. She's a little bugger. You're a little bugger. You just want to come up and say hello, don't you? If I pull the chair over, can you jump up? Get back there then, I'll pull the chair over. Come back. I haven't got anything for you. Come back here. Come on then. Hop. There we go. Come on then. Come, look. Can you see the kitten? See, look, say hello. Say hello. Anyway, back to... You licked me. Come here. So, back to religion and faith and spirituality. It is the sameness in... What do you think is up? Hello. It's the sameness in... Hello, Barkley. It's the sameness in our faiths and religions. Sorry, it's the sameness in these faiths and religions and paths and spiritualities that kind of bring us together. And if we had a bit more tolerance and a bit more understanding of other faiths and other spiritualities, I think the world would be a much better place. Because as you can tell, 2 weeks after being told, or not being told, but overhearing, intentionally, I do think, that witches will burn in hell, it's still bothering me a little bit, because these are people who know me. They know me, they know my mum, they know... And I find it very... I found it very offensive, but I didn't take it that way to their faces. I'm not going to let it bother me, because if it bothers me and I create a stink about it, then I've upset other people, and I'm not going to do that. I'm hoping it was a genuine mistake and that was it. What are you chewing? Oh, she said, oh, and my mum bought me this. It's one of those copper coiled resin pendulums. Ooh, get that bit off. So yes, so it's resin, but it's got amethyst and a copper coil inside. I'm just like, please stop spinning. Yes, ignore my horrible hands at the moment. I've oh, wrong way. There. This thing goes mental whenever I pick it up. It just doesn't stop moving. So it's a good one for me. Regardless of any other stone that I say I like, when it comes to amethyst, it's very reactive with me. And I used to love amethyst as a child. I don't hate it now. But yeah, and I think, you know, this is my mum, a Christian, a born-again Christian who goes to a Baptist church at the moment, buys me a pendulum, knowing that it's a pendulum and what I'm going to use it for. how cool is my mum? How tolerant and understanding is my mum? Okay, I understand that, you know, she brought me up to be a certain way, and her dad brought me up as well in a certain way. But she's incredibly, maybe it's because she went into Christianity later on in life, she's got much more tolerance. I don't know. But she has, and I think I have the most amazing mum. Anyway, off topic again, because I am rambling. All of this just to say that aren't religions, faiths and spiritualities in different paths in life basically the same if you're talking about the spirituality and the faith of it, rather than just what's actually written in the book and all this stuff about, you know, this weirdy beardy man is up in the sky and this horned evil bloke is underneath the earth. We know that's not true. We know, you know, or that this horned evil bloke is on earth and earth is hell, whichever way some Christians like to look at it. We know that it isn't God up in the sky. We know that. I'm going to take my glass off. I've had a long day. Look how tired I am. So we know there isn't some man above, you know, in the clouds looking down on us. And the Bible was written in the Western world when the Western world thought they were the be-all and end-all, and, you know, the most advanced countries, and they knew everything, and they didn't know everything. And so many other religions. I mean, Egyptians, and the way, even though they did change their spirituality slightly throughout the millennia, for thousands upon thousands of years. Christianity's only been around for a couple of hundred. You know, and it wasn't, we know that the Bible wasn't translated and made readily available to the general public, the commoners, much later. So, yeah, it's... There are other faiths across the world that are as important as Christianity. Christianity isn't the be-all and end-all, and neither is any other faith. Everyone is valid, because it's however it brings you closer to your God. However you see that God, goddess, energy, like I said, however you see that end goal, your purpose in life, even if your God is within yourself, you know, faiths and spiritualities are basically the same. But yes, I'm not saying that people long ago, by the way, going back to what I said earlier about flat earth, when I've been watching flat earth videos, I find them quite funny, because a lot of that is connected to, there's a preacher who is anti-evolutionary. He's a creationist. Obviously, he reads the Bible word for word, but I can't accept that. And once again, do you remember that poem, Pathways? And sometimes it's called The Pathway, The Pathways, Pathways to God. Hold on a minute, I've got a copy of it. Is this it? Yes. So going back, I'll probably cut that last bit out. Going back to this story, Pathways. Now, I was told it was written by Galadriel Starfire. But the copy that I found recently is called The Pathways, or The Pathways, and it's written by Dream Dancer. So I don't know who wrote it. I think if more people read this, it would be so much more important. And what I'll do is I'll read this at the end, so you can skip that bit if you don't want it. But there's a bit in it that says, The Bible is a wonderful book, as are the Quran and the Torah and many others, but they are just books written by the hand of man, not written by me. And that's how I see it. There is no book that can be said to be written by God, because it's not written by God. The Ten Commandments were not necessarily written by God. They were found on stone tablets. Someone could have chiselled them on there. You know, there is no... And this is where faith comes in, because obviously, even if you change the Bible, once again I'm talking about the Christian Bible, and you took out all the stuff that didn't make sense scientifically these days, and you put in about evolution and how old the world was and what dinosaur bones are and, you know, everything else, the faith would remain the same, because your faith is... The faith is believing that God is real. That's your faith. That's where the faith comes from. So your faith doesn't change. It doesn't alter. In fact, I think it can only make it stronger. It's just my opinion. I'm not dissing the Bible. I'm dissing the fact that someone peed me off a bit. And that perhaps if we could see each other as more the same, it wouldn't be as bad. That's it. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And like I said, I mean, no offence to anybody. Not a single person. I just think, I know faith, spirituality and religion, and it's complicated. But down to its very, very basic tenets, we're all very much the same, because we're all very human. So that's it. I will try and be back soon. I've had lots and lots, like I said, I've made so many videos, and I just didn't upload them, and I'm not too sure why, but you know, I haven't been well. That's all I'm going to say. And I am finding my path a bit more now. I'm kind of settling in slightly. And I've been here, what, 8 months? 8 months. And I'm only just beginning to settle in, but I love this house. Anyway, so this is Pathways, apparently. Oh, sorry, it's The Pathways by Dream Dancer, apparently. If you know different, let me know. And this is quite long, so skip it if you want. I've read this out before, and I just like it. I like... Oh, excuse me. I like how it is very accepting. I mean, it simplifies things a lot, but it's very accepting. So here we go. Well, it had been yet another bad day in the office, and once again it was the fault of that new girl, Mary Ann. She is one of those Wiccans, a so-called witch. How can anyone in their right mind make this claim, knowing that it goes against God and all the teachings of the Bible? She doesn't even have the common decency to keep her satanic symbol, her pentagram necklace, hidden from view of the decent, God-fearing people in the office. She has some nerve. I find that I cannot hate her for this, though, for I know that she has been deceived. Satan works his evil in ways that she cannot see. I've seen that so-called Wiccan reed that she has tacked to the wall above her computer. Oh, on the surface it looks like a decent, loving belief, but all one must do is look closely, and see that by practicing this way and not embracing Jesus Christ as Saviour, she is on the pathway to hell. As I said, it was a bad day in the office. 3 times in the past few weeks I have been called in to see my supervisor, and he has told me that I am not allowed to preach to Mary Ann the Word of God, to show her the error of her ways. Today my supervisor told me that if I continue to harass Mary Ann, he will be forced to terminate me. How can he say this? He himself is a God-fearing man. And how can he be so tolerant of the evil that he sees insinuating itself into our workplace? As I lay down to sleep last night, I asked the Lord for guidance. God, grant me a true vision of you so that I may better lead the faithless onto the righteous path. Oh, a true vision of me, is it? Are you sure that you're ready, truly ready to see, my son? I sat bolt upright in bed, and there at the foot of my bed, a white of hair and beard, in a long flowing white robe, stood the Lord my God. I made to leap from the bed and fall to my knees in front of him, but he stopped me with a gesture. Kneel not before me at this time, my son. Instead, rise and walk with me, so that you may get a glimpse of what I truly am, as you asked of me in your prayer." He took my hand, and as I looked, my bedroom was no longer there, but a pathway through the woods. He started to walk, and I was too awestruck for words. We took the path to the left, and we were then inside St. Catherine's Church in the middle of a service. While standing beside me, God seemed to expand and fill the whole of the church. I could see smiles of contentment forming on some of the parishioners' faces. I felt blessed. God smiled upon me. The Catholics hold such pretty masses, don't they? I like to stop here in this church because not only do they speak the words, but they live the life through teaching, helping the sick and poor, not only with handouts, but helping them learn to help themselves. Now let us walk on, and we were back on the pathway. No offence, this is no Catholic that I know. Sorry. Catholics are just like Christians and all the others. You know, they are faithful, but not to everyone. Anyway, sorry. We travelled a bit further along, and then we were in the parlour of a funeral home. A young woman was kneeling before the casket, resting her head on it and crying. I could see by the similarity that this dead man must be her father. God knelt beside her, and he drew his arms around her. "Miss him, that is all right, but weep not for him, for now he is with me." She wiped her eyes and stood with a sad smile upon her face and said, "Goodbye, Daddy, I'll miss you," and turned and left the room. And we were back on the pathway. We walked a little ways, and we were in front of a large lodge of some kind. I could hear music and laughter spilling out of the windows. I turned to look at God and was shocked to see not the flowing white robe, but him wearing leather and animal furs, his hair and beard now the colour of wheat, and a sword strapped across his back. He strode forth, and I saw him approach a figure I had not seen before. As I looked close, I was shocked to see that it was the same face that I had just seen dead, but looking young and strong, and dressed in ancient-looking garb, an axe strapped to his waist. God strode up to him and grabbed him in a great bear hug. "Welcome, my son. We have been waiting for you. Now go inside and raise a cup or two and meet with your brother." And with a hearty slap on the back, he sent the man inside. And then we were back on the pathway. We walked a little bit further, and then we were in a mosque. At least I believe so, as I had never actually been in one before, but I had seen pictures of them. The group of worshippers were not large, but I could see their rapt faces as they listened to the mullah speak. He was speaking to them of purity, both of the mind and the body, bringing them closer to Allah, and as he spoke, God, dressed now in the robes of the desert, walked among them and briefly laid his hands upon each set of shoulders. And from their faces I could see that these men knew that the words of the mullah were true, and that their spirits felt touched by God. And then we were back on the pathway. After we had walked a little bit, we found ourselves in an African village. People with skin as black as night, the women with their breasts shamefully bared, were dancing in a circle to the rhythm of the drums being played by a group of men. Somehow, though, I was not offended by the bared breasts, and the music seemed to seep into my soul. God was then a mighty lion. He let forth a mighty roar. The villagers did not seem to hear, but the drums increased their pounding, and the dancers danced with frenzy. And then we were back on the pathway. We walked a little bit more and were on top of the cliff. There sat, painted and covered with feathers, an old Navajo man. As I watched, he seemed to change into the form of an eagle and take flight, and we were flying with him, soaring high into the air, seeing the vista spread out below us. And God, in the form of an eagle himself, seemed to guide this other eagle through the air, over the mountains and through valleys, until he came upon a group of men. As I watched, the old Navajo man was no longer an eagle, but a young boy instead, and he sat at the feet of these men to listen to the words of his elders. And then we were back on the pathway. We travelled a bit, and then we were in a forest clearing. I knew this place. It was known as a place of devil worship and evil. In the centre of the clearing roared a great bonfire, and kiwi torches outlined the circle of sorts. Inside this circle themselves stood 7 men and 6 women, dressed in robes of varying colours, their arms raised to the moon. Was that one woman Mary Ann? I really couldn't be sure. And God walked among them in the circle, touching each one. He seemed not to be an old man now, but as he made each of 3 turns around the circle, he was first a young girl, bouncing with energy, then a woman of middle years with a tender smile for all her children, and finally an old woman, body bent but holding her head up with pride. And a woman stepped forward, and yes, it was Mary Ann. She lifted her head to the sky. "Great Goddess, Mother of us all, thank you for joining us tonight. Stay if you will, go if you must. Know in our hearts you will always be welcome. Blessed be." And then we were back on the pathway. As we walked along, ahead in the distance I saw the most beautiful man. Yes, beautiful, though I would never normally think of a man this way. With blonde hair and a golden robe, he seemed to radiate sunshine. God and this man nodded to each other as they passed, sharing a smile together. "My lord," I asked, "was that an angel?" "Well, yes, he is known as that to some. He is also known to some as a god himself." That was Lucifer. And his words caused me to stumble. I couldn't believe that we had just passed the ultimate evil. God looked at me, and he knew my mind, and he chuckled a little bit. "Think about it logically, my son. Lucifer that you know is a fallen angel cast out of heaven for challenging me. If I am the all-powerful being above all others, how could he do this? How could I allow it?" "But in the Bible," I stammered. "The Bible is a wonderful book, as are the Quran and the Torah and many others, but they are just books written by the hand of man, not written by me. And it's a bit confusing as well, if the truth be known, but that's not up to me to fix. These books are wonderful, but only as guidance for each man and woman must think for themselves." And I believed he was right in this. "Now come forth, we must journey a little bit more before you go back." And he took my hand once again. As we followed the pathway, we soared through the stars, listening to the music of the heavens. We became a little flower and a mighty oak. We became a babbling brook and a mighty ocean. We flitted from flower to flower as a little honeybee, and ran across the plains as a mighty stallion. And all too soon the pathway returned us to my home. God held my hand a moment longer and smiled into my face. "My son, you prayed tonight for a true vision of me. For vision, you must only open your eyes and see what there is to see. Good night to you." And then he was gone, and I was back in my bed. A dream, I thought. Only a dream. That couldn't have been real. At that very moment, a bolt of lightning lit up my room through the window, and a thunder crashed through the sky, and I thought I heard from seemingly far away. Remember, the Lord works in mysterious ways, my son. This morning, as I entered the office, I went to the machine for a cup of coffee, and standing there, I spied Mary Ann. As I approached her, I could see her barely cringe, and I could see in her face that she was expecting yet another onslaught from me and my book. She seemed to cast her eyes about for a way to escape, but there was none. I walked up to her and smiled. "I think I owe you a bit of an apology," I said. "I have been a bit narrow-minded of late, and I really had no right to subject you to what I did. It's not up to me to say how you find your path to your spirit, and I was wrong to think that was so." Mary Ann just stood there not knowing what to say. "So I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry, and I hope you will forgive my trespass. God bless you, Mary Ann, and blessed be." You know, I always thought that it was just a saying about people's jaws dropping to the floor, but Mary Ann did her best at that moment to prove me wrong. That's that. The last bit having been recorded separately, because apparently I don't know how to press the record button. Anyway, that's it. I'm going now. I do hope to be back very soon. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And please know that I mean no offence by my opinions. They just are the ramblings of an old woman. But they mean something to somebody, even if it's just me. Thank you, witchy people. I'll be back soon. Bye for now.